Last time on the Florida Keys Adventure 2016, we made it into Everglades City. We got prepped up for a storm, and we got to the tip of Florida where we had to make a decision. Do we go to Everglades, park for fuel, or head to Marathon? Okay, if you'll remember from last time, we made it all the way down to the very tip of Florida right here. We had to make a decision because we were running low on fuel. Do we go the 10 miles to Everglades National Park to get the fuel and then 10 miles back for a total of 20 miles? Or do we go ahead and head straight across the Florida Bay all the way to Marathon, which was 30 miles? Now you'll remember we weren't sure how much fuel we had. We were pumping fuel from another tank over, as well as we were running on one engine. We were out of communications and we had some weather. Well, here's what we done. The situation. We told you down to one engine. Water pump's bad on the starboard engine. We're leaving the tip of Florida right there. Getting ready to cross Florida Bay. Going to Marathon. Obviously there's nothing, you can't see it. We'll be relying on our GPS here. We're here, we need to be there. That's the tip of Florida right there. We're gonna go there. So we're just following that line. Keep that line, taking the heading of about 180 degrees. Get it in the hole, Brian!
Big Daddy whipping up, going from captain to chef. Making sure the current captain isn't hungry. I'm sure he'll have something to say about this, but there you go, Captain. So the chef is open for any requests or constructive criticism.
Got any jelly for the toast?
Jelly for the toast. I'll let him know. And Mike, the captain is just inquiring if you got any jelly for that toast.
Any what?
Jelly for the toast. Hot sauce is probably.
Not jelly, but I know he's gonna want hot sauce.
Good point. Want to know if you want any hot sauce?
Yeah, sprinkle a little bit of that on there.
Oh, brother.
You got jelly? I brought jelly. Not on my toast, dude.
It's the wind, dude.
That's good stuff.
Oh, you did?
Pond, U.S. Coast Guard. This is a good time. We're down one engine, no fuel. Down one engine, no fuel. Bad generator, over.
Well, this is at that point where we're out in the middle and there's nothing around. Can't see land all the way around. Right in the middle of the Florida Bay, from the peninsula of Florida down to the Keys. Makes you think about how people navigated back in the day. We got all this technology. Makes you wonder how they navigated. We talked about this earlier, how hard it must have been navigating back years ago without GPS, without depth finders showing all the depths. That was a different kind of person that did that. Went into waters that no one's ever been in, or they didn't have charts for. It's an amazing thing to think about it. You have a different perspective when you're out here and you know you have no communications at all unless there's a boat passing. We have the radio, but it doesn't, we're too far out. Phones, we're too far out. It's a different experience. Hey guys, I ordered a sextant for the boat. As you've seen in the video, when we were out there in the middle of the water and there's absolutely nothing around you, and you realize that you're totally relied upon the GPS to work right and what have you, and you know, at that particular time we had no tower service for our phones, meaning that we wouldn't have any GPS on our phones as well. So a sextant helps you by angulating using the sun and some charts. You can get the latitude and longitude of where you are on the globe, and it'll give you your position. This is what they used years ago to cross oceans with, which absolutely amazes me that they would use this. And knowing that they had hundreds of miles when they went out on their voyage to cross the ocean, and then a lot of times didn't have maps for to even know what was there on the other side. So when we were out on the ocean, or out there on the Florida Bay crossing, going to Marathon, a lot of these thoughts come to your mind when you look around 360 and there's no land around. You start, the first thing or one of the things you think about is, man, how did they do this years ago? How did those men strike out, sometimes not having any maps? It's the first time they've been in the waters, or anybody that they knew been in the waters, and would cross. It's absolutely amazing. And not only that, they didn't have depth finders. They would have a sounder, or a man on the bow of the ship, and he'd have a rope with a weight, and sometimes they would have knots or whatever tied to show how many fathoms it was, and that guy would throw it and let it go down, and he would call back to the captain. Nowadays in time, we've got, of course, along with my GPS combination, is a depth finder. It's mounted and it shoots down through the hole and shows me the depth. So with all that technology, it's still the trip. It reminds you and makes you realize or think about the certain amount of danger there, that if all that was to shut down, now you're so reliant on that, what would you do? How would you do it? How would you cross?
Land ho!
"13 miles out, we can see land." Kind of cloudy too, but the water is beautifully calm. It's a great day for a passage. Turquoise looking water, the Keys, blue turquoise, whatever.
That's what I was waiting to see right there. How much that GoPro? Pretty.
Starting to get a little excited. We're really close. We're going there. 7 Mile Bridge. Hey guys, out here working on my boat for sale, and I'm in the final stages of this last video. I got to describe what happened here, because as is often the case when you're about to die, no one thinks to grab the camera, and we didn't catch it on camera. So in the video, we were right at the 7 Mile Bridge. We were, just a couple miles out, a few miles out from the last video. Well, we made it all the way right up to the bridge. You'll remember we were running on one engine, and that makes your boat want to tend to go one way, because the rudder is prop spinning on one side and it's wanting to push you. So we're coming up to approaching the bridge. We're running low on fuel, so I was trying to go to the nearest opening to go through to get right to the marina as quick as we could, because I didn't know how much fuel we had. Well, the problem was, and unbeknownst to me and not have ever been through there before, the tide was moving extremely fast through there. You couldn't really tell it until you were already in it, and then once we were in it, it was too late. Now the problem is because that engine was trying to push us, when we got into that water, it started to pushing us sideways, and I lost control of the boat. Now this boat, or the Good Times, weighs about 16,000 pounds. Heavy. There's two sets of pillars that come down from because there's actually two bridges, the new bridge and the old bridge. And when we started to coming in under there, and it took us, and it started turning us sideways, the only control that I had at that point was to go in forward or in reverse and rev the engine to try and keep it off from hitting the pillars. Because heavy as that boat is, had we hit the pillars, it would have been, really, really bad. And we joke about it now, but I can tell you it was scary at the time. When we went under there, we literally started doing 360s, doing circles, because all I could do was go forward, gun it forward, and gun it back to get it off of these pylons. And we had two sets to go through. So I couldn't go straight, and I had to go. So we were basically doing circles as we went under the bridge. Remember that this bridge, or the boat's about a 32 foot, about 36 foot overall length. And the spans of the bridge, I'm just guessing at 100 feet span, something like that. So it was extremely scary there for a moment. I'll tell you another thing real quick that occurred, and these are just things that happens on boats, and you got to be of the mindset to be able to settle down and deal with it, as we did for that. But the next day we were, or no, it was probably a couple days later, we were up in the Boot Key Harbor, and we was going to go to the city marina, and we're going to just kind of look at the marina, check out, see what the amenities were. By this time, we were already at the Poncho's fuel dock, that marina, which you're going to see. So we're going to the city fuel dock, and we're coming in kind of slow. Again, no one, grabs the video camera because we're all trying to deal with the situation. Ajax and Brian had already gotten down to catch the dock whenever we came in. So we're coming in, and we're heading to the right side because I'm going to turn around. And when I go, I put my engines in neutral, and the port engine is steady going. It's just steady going. And I kept messing with it, and I can tell it's steady going. It's pushing us. The starboard engine went to neutral. So after a couple attempts and realizing, and the dock is coming up, and there's a boat sitting there, after a couple attempts, all I could do was jump, and you can see the boat kind of like go down through the hatchway, the companionway, and kind of like grab that rail down to get down to the lower helm to shut that engine off, because that's the only way I could stop it. Fortunately, I was able to do it, and then from down there, use the other engine to stop it from running into the dock. Long story short, all it was one piece of the linkage had come off. The little C-clip that held it must have came loose. Minor, just put it right back on, put a new C-clamp, and it was fixed. But disaster was averted. We almost run into the dock sitting right there, and of course all these people were sitting there watching us as we were coming in. So luckily we made it. No one got hurt, didn't crash the boat, so it was a good time. Okay, so this is us coming in right here at Boot Key Harbor, and you kind of see here on that 7 Mile bridge, that's where we almost died. But we came in there, and you turn and come in right here. This is actual Boot Key Harbor, the entrance way to it. And we came up, and Poncho's fuel dock is right here on the end. That's where you get fuel, but we actually, if you go around the corner, this is where we are actually, the slip. Happy to be in this slip here to get the boat all tied up, especially after just coming through all that we did on, there at the bridge. And then the knowing that we made it here, 300-mile trip. We made it safe, and Good Times was in good shape. Next time on the Florida Keys Adventure 2016. Now that we're in the Keys, it's time to do a little diving. time to do a little lobstering and have a whole lot of fun. See you soon.